what is it, January 3rd or something. So that's a mistake, because this is the right one, because I looked at it. Right, and then the new calendar, January, says it's next week. Yeah, it is today according to the Vaishnav calendar online. So we're going to sing in glorification. We'll just sing one of the verses of the Sad Goswam ISKCON, number 2, because that's mostly about scripture and Jiva Goswami's scripture. Can't see. Okay, ready? What page is it on? It's in my eyes. I guess if I put it up. Yeah. Krishna begins with K. Krishna Kirtana, right? Okay. It begins with K. It's in alphabetical order, 47. So I'm just doing the second one of the 8. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Saranaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam hita karano tribhuvane mandyo sharanya karo Lokan mandyo sharanya Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajanan Nandena Matalika Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalago We'll do the next one too. Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarana Vidau Shraddha Samridjan Vitau Tapo tapa nikrintano tanubritam Govinda ganamritai Tapo tap Inda ganamritai Anandam Buddhivarnanaika Nipuno Kaivalya Nistadaka Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Shri Jiva Gopalako could read the translations together of those two verses. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Nath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of human beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth shelter of, because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very much enriched in understanding of Lord Chaitanya, and who are thus expert in narrating his transcendental qualities. They can purify all the sleeping souls, Americans of the sinful activities, by pouring upon them transcendental songs about Govinda. As such, they are very expert in increasing the limits of the ocean of transcendental bliss, and they are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri of ignorance and my spiritual master, open my eyes. With the torchlight of knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances. I'll speak briefly about Mahesh Pandit. All right, this isn't staying. And then Jiva Goswami. I know, it keeps dropping. Okay. All right, so, Jagadish, did I say something? All right, Jagadish Pandit. From the Gauragonadesh Deepika, it says, the wives of the sacrificing brahmanas in Vraja took birth as Jagadish and Hiranya. The Lord Mahaprabhu asked for and ate their prasad on the Ekadashi day. So in Vraja, there was a dancer named Chandrahasa who was expert in tasting of rasa. In Chaitanya Leela, he became Jagadish Pandit, who also took great pleasure in dancing for the Lord. So apparently it's the same person who was also a wife of the Brahmin. So briefly, Lord Chaitanya, when he was a baby and a little boy, and always he wanted to engage everyone in chanting the holy names. So he would cry, and when he cried, they would sing Hare Krishna to him, and he would stop crying. But this one time, he wouldn't stop crying. He cried and cried. And so his parents asked him, "What is it? What's the matter? What do you want?" And so he said, "I want the prasad that these two brothers, Hiranya and Jagadish," it was Ekadashi, and on Ekadashi we don't eat grains, and even children shouldn't eat grains. But for the deities, we offer them grains. So he's like, "I want that prasadam," because they live very close by. And so they took him there, and how did he know? And they gave him that prasad, and he immediately stopped crying. And what happened was this Hiranya, his wife, was Tukini, and they were very maternal, close friends of Jagannath Mishra, and they had this kind of paternal affection for little Nimai, and even she would nurse him. And so what happened was this Jagadish, in that way, it says that he purifies the entire universe, because the nectar of love for Krishna pours from him like torrents of rain. That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And also, he was very attached to Lord Jagannath. And Mahaprabhu, he told him that you should go to Nilachala, Jagannath Puri. I want you to go there and preach. And so he went to Jagannath Puri. He also took part in the Chipped Rice Festival with Lord Nityananda. So he went there and he preached and engaged in Harinam Sankirtan. And he went for Lord Jagannath's darshan when he arrived at Jagannath Puri, and he melted with love when he saw him because of extreme separation. Now, many of you probably have been to Jagannath Puri. Been to Jagannath Puri, and thousands of pilgrims go to Jagannath Puri. But who melts in separation? He had such attachment to Lord Jagannath, and Lord Jagannath saw him. He would just be crying, and he appeared to him in a dream and told him that you should serve my deity, you should serve my Vigraha. And then simultaneously he appeared to the king of Orissa and told him that when they have the Nava Kalabara, is that every 12 years or 18 years, or where the deities are, they carve new deities. I forget how much time. So the Lord told the king, when it's time to carve the new deities, give these deities to him, to Jagdish Pandit. So he got those Jagannath deities, those big Jagannath deities, and he worshipped them. And he said, "How can I possibly carry you, though? Because I'm going back to Bengal, because he was there for some time. How can I carry these huge deities?" And Lord Jagannath assured him that it would be okay. So he became as light as cork. and he covered him with cloth, and they suspended him at the end of a staff, and he took them. But Jagannath told him in the dream that I will, wherever you put me down, you have to carry me, and wherever you put me down, I'm going to stay there. Kind of like Shakshi Gopal stayed, he said, whenever you turn around and look at me, I will stay there. So they were carrying, he had two Brahmins assisting him, on a staff, on a pole. And when they were traveling, he said, "Okay, I'm going to take bath now in the Ganga." So he asked the Brahmin, "So you hold the deity." So then when he came back, the deity was on the ground, and this was in a place called Joshua. Let's see. And so the deity, he said, "What happened?" He said, "All of a sudden the deity became so heavy that I could not carry him. I couldn't hold him anymore. He just almost fell from my arms." So he realized, well, the deity has to stay here now, because that was his order, wherever I'm put down. And I guess this is his desire, that he stays here. And then when everybody heard, Lord Jagannath from Jagannath Puri, he's come to our village and he's here, then everybody, thousands, came to have darshan of him. So Jagadish Pandit, he settled there in Joshua, and continued the worship. Then after he left his body and his descendants, he had one son, but the descendants, they were taking care of the deities, and then they were very poor, and everything, the temple became dilapidated, and they couldn't afford nice worship. So they actually handed over, not that long ago, this devotee from the Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, Bhakti Daicha Madhava Goswami. Some of you may have met him. I believe he just passed away in 2017. But he they asked him to take charge of the temple, and he was able to invest large sums of money to immediately restore the temple and restore the worship. And so then, and at that instant, they had like 1 year after that, a big festival where he personally fed thousands of men and women from the neighboring, it's like a farming area. So Jagadish Pandit Ki Jai. All right, now Srila Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami, we know, is the youngest of the Goswamis, being the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan. His brother, the brother of Rupa and Sanatan, who Lord Chaitanya named him, what'd you say? Anupama, and his name before was Vallabha, but then when they were traveling to see Lord Chaitanya, he suddenly died, and Jiva was only a young boy when he died, so naturally his uncles took care of him, but also there's no mention of his mother for some reason. Now, what happened was he was always, just like we hear about Prahlad Maharaj, how right from childhood, like he actually carved his own deities of Krishna and Balaram, and he worshipped those deities and engaged in dressing them and bathing them and even making offerings to them, and especially, fruits and nuts, and probably someone helped him cook. And he had no interest in childhood play. He only would play if it was Krishna conscious, like Lord Nityananda when he was a child. He just wanted to play games that were connected to the worship of Krishna. And so he would gaze at his deities. Just as a young child, he loved his deities so much, he would just sit with love-laden eyes and worship them with sandalwood paste and flowers. And when he paid obeisances, his eyes would fill with tears. So this is just when he's just young. Now, his uncles, when he found out, Rupa and Sanatan, they were living Ramakeli. And so when his uncles, they went to Vrindavan, he also developed that same spirit of renunciation when he was a little bit more grown up. And he was so, his mind became distracted, and he abandoned, apparently they were all from a very wealthy family, and he abandoned his jewels and fine dress, comfortable bed, food, and various amusements. It was as though nothing interested him anymore. He could not bear hearing news of political and other mundane affairs. So especially in India, I always hear the men talking about politics and all this stuff, and everywhere, I guess. It's kind of common kata, but he couldn't bear to hear it. It's like, yikes, like so distasteful to hear of it. And then he had many experiences. It's not known if he actually had the darshan of Lord Chaitanya personally. He may have when he was just a baby, but he had many experiences of seeing Lord Chaitanya, either in dreams or just like a spurti, because he got the order to go to Navadvip, and there, because before we get the mercy of Radha and Krishna, we get the mercy of Gaur-Nitai. So he went there and he met Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda, he told them, you should go on parikrama of Navadvip, and then afterwards you need to go to Vrindavan, but first go on parikrama. And he said, okay, well, can you please take me on parikrama? So Lord Nityananda personally took him to all of the Leela Stavas, all of the pastime places of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he took him all around, and both of them, they would just be in ecstasy, like so very often, like another devotee was with them as well, and and um, and they would just be weeping, like just seeing a place when Lord Nityananda would describe it. Lord Nityananda would start crying, then he would start crying. Also, sometimes Shri, they just would all the time, and then he would fall unconscious just hearing of these pastimes. And then in that state, sometimes he saw Lord Chaitanya and Lord Chaitanya dancing. And you know how even now many devotees say, why couldn't I have been born a little earlier to be Srila Prabhupada's disciple and to have Srila Prabhupada's darshan? So he used to lament like that. Why I couldn't have been born earlier and had Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's association and darshan. And so anyway, Lord Nityananda was very, very merciful, and he put his feet upon Jiva's head and blessed him, and he told all the other devotees, just as Lord Chaitanya used to do, ask all the devotees to bless a particular devotee because blessings are very potent. And so then he finally told them, okay, you should go to Vrindavan. Now, when he got to Vrindavan and he got to meet his uncles, he actually became a disciple of Rupa Goswami. And then he himself, before he went to Vrindavan, Lord Nityananda told him, but before you go, you should stop at Benares, and there you should meet Madhusudana Vachaspati, because he's expert in Sanskrit, and he will teach you Sanskrit. So he went and studied there with him. So Jiva is extremely erudite. Srila Prabhupada said the most intelligent of all the Goswamis, and he studied Sanskrit like that. And when he went to, and then he became, the teacher, and in Vrindavan of many, but especially the next generation of devotees, Narottam Das Thakur, Shamananda Pandit, and used to be Srivasacharya. He used to be Duki Krishnadas, right? And so, but when he was there, here he is, like brilliant, and such a great devotee. But Rupa Goswami, before he would give him initiation, for 1 year engaged him in menial service. He had him that you clean, wash the laundry, and clean and cut the vegetables and help in the kitchen, wash pots. He did all kinds of menial service, even though he's a great learned scholar. So that was like testing him, because every service is absolute, and the devotees should be eager for any kind of service like that. And also he was like the guest master. Whenever devotees would come from Bengal and Mayapur to visit Vrindavan, he would arrange for their lodging and for their prasad. And we know that's like a really great service, because it could be anxiety. Like now in Vrindavan, it was so crowded during Kartik, and many devotees had a very difficult time finding accommodations, because there was so much large population there after waiting 3 or 4 years during lockdown and not being allowed to come to Vrindavan. Many came. So let's see. Okay. So now he wrote many books, and here's just a few of them. Okay, like the Harinam Amrita Vyakarana. So just like Lord Chaitanya taught his students grammar, by using names of Krishna. So also he wrote this book on on grammar, right? But using the names of the Lord. And then Sutra Malika, Dhatu Sangraha, Krishnar Charna Deepika, Gopal Virudavali, Rasamrita Shesha, Madhava Mahotsava, Sankalpa Kalpa Riksha, Bhavarta Suchaka Champu, and a commentary on Gopala Tapani Upanishad, a commentary on Brahma Samhita, commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Jiva Goswami wrote, a commentary on Ujjvala Nilamani, also by Rupa Goswami, a commentary on Yoga Sara Satvaka, Gayatri Bhasya of Agni Purana, Krishna Pada China of Padma Purana, Sri Radhika Kara Pada Stita China, Gopal Champu, Purva and Uttara divisions, Krama Sandarbha, Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, and Priti Sandarbha. So these are the 6 Sandarbhas. These 6 Sandarbhas where he very thoroughly explains, like how first of all, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate authority from all the scriptures. Srimad Bhagavatam establishes the Siddhanta, the Tattva, and then also like how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then Paramatma Sandarbha about the Lord in the heart, and discourses on Krishna and devotional service, and Priti Sandarbha, discourses on love. And then his magnum opus here is Gopal Champu. Look at the size of this book. And Bir Krishna Swami, have you done the whole entire book now? 3/4. So he has made an audio book of this that you can hear on ISKCON Dietary, and also your own personal website, or no. Okay. But that's the best place. So yeah, I've listened to it a lot. But on ISKCON Desire Tree, you can hear Maharaj reading it, and with sound effects too, music, and it's very, very wonderful. And this is pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. But look at how extensive. So this is like millions of him to write all of these books. Now, one time, there was this Digvijaya. Oh, I have a paper in my coat pocket, a card, like a notes in my coat pocket. So there was this personality. What was it? Something Narayan. The Digvijay. Remember him? So there is this Digvijay. I'll tell you his name in a minute. And he, he was a very proud scholar, and he used to go around, big Digvijay, the conqueror. He would conquer in debate and show that he's the most learned and erudite. And then, and thank you so much. So his name was Rupa Narayan Saraswati, and very proud. So he went and he asked Rupa and Sanatan to debate with him, as he would debate, and then when he won the debate, he'd ask them to sign a certificate, write a letter that I have been defeated by this Rupa Narayan Saraswati. And so he came to them, and they said, "Oh, you're so learned, what are we? We're just simple devotees, so we'll just sign it, no need to debate." And then somebody told him, there's another one. There's another very young. It's the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan, and he's very learned too. So you should debate with him as well. So he approached him, and he showed them, "Look at your uncle. They have signed this. I have defeated them." And he said, "Well, then I'll I'll take up the challenge. I'll debate with you. And on the bank of the Yamuna for an entire week, they debated. And of course, Jiva Goswami won the debate. And he, had to, pass stool from being so nervous. And he just left. So Jiva was like, I'm doing this service to show I'm just a young disciple of them. So what to speak of Rupa and Sanatan, how great they are and how learned, and how dare this Digvijaya say that he has defeated them. So he went back and told Rupa and Sanatan that I have defeated them, and he was severely chastised by Rupa Goswami. Why have you wasted your time, a whole week of your time you wasted in this mundane, arguing with just a mundane personality? Although he's a scholar, he's not interested in devotion. Why would you waste your time? And he thought, I'm just doing this to kind of gain the reputation of our sampradaya and of our lineage and of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But Rupa just was not very happy and chastised him that you shouldn't do it. What do we care about this reputation and all that? And so he was chastised. There's different times, but then people have said the main punishment was this time, but also the other time when Vallabha Charya came to visit Rupa Goswami. And, Lord Chaitanya had met with Vallabha Charya. And so he was, a very advanced devotee and elevated and elder. And so when he came, he said, so what are you working on now, Rupa? And he said, I'm writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Would you like to look it over and tell me if it's okay, see if there's any corrections? So I can't remember the exact mistake, but he said, and at the time it was very hot. It was the summer. And so he was, Jiva was in the room. He was fanning Rupa Goswami. And when Vallabha Bhatta came, he was saying, oh yeah, this is not correct. This is not correct. And it was just the use of a word that, anyway, Jiva Goswami was fuming because, here's his guru. He has such strong faith in his guru. And here this Vallabha Bhatta dares to correct him and tell him that it's not proper. So he was angry, but he thought that Vallabha's being very arrogant like this. Now, so Vallabha said, okay, I'm going to bathe in the Yamuna. So in a little while later, Jiva said, I'm going to collect water from the Yamuna. But when he went there, he just went and told Vallabha, what you said, that's not correct. And Rupa Goswami was correct. And he told Vallabha, he explained to him how it was correct and how his criticism of it, was not proper, was incorrect. And then he's like, you're right, Vallabha, he understood, yes, I was wrong. And then he went and told Rupa, I'm so sorry that I corrected that. Jiva, he explained to me, it was a kind of a debate, but he explained to me that it wasn't right what I said. So I'm really sorry about that. Okay, that's okay. So now, nowadays, if the guru just slightly says something to you, sometimes you get so offended and you even may go away. But here, he said, when Rupa came back, he said, you are so puffed up. Don't you know? You're just so proud of your scholarship. But even Lord Chaitanya spoke with him, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very respectful. He's an advanced devotee. He's senior in years. He's senior in devotional service. And how dare you go and correct him? You do not deserve to be in Vrindavan. You have to leave. You must leave right away. Leave Vrindavan. You don't have the proper mentality to be here. As sometimes it says stay for 3 days, sometimes just a fortnight, 2 weeks, stay in Vrindavan, because otherwise we see the residents of Vrindavan as mundane, when actually, they are like, I was listening to one of Dear Krishna Swami's old lectures where, especially at Govardhan, like they think Krishna's their friend. They have like a close relationship with Krishna. Growing up, like Maharaj said, why don't you chant Hare Krishna? We were staying with the Brijbasi family this time, and my husband said they don't do sadhana, but they have such a personal relationship with the deities and everything, and they do their own kind of sadhana. But so we can't understand the mentality sometimes of a Brijbasi like that. And so and so he's telling him, you don't deserve to be in Vrindavan. You have to leave. He was so devastated, but he just took that order on his head. He didn't at all defend himself and say, I was only doing it as service because, I have great faith in you. And he didn't argue at all. He just took that order of his guru and went outside of Vrindavan to Nandagatta, a nearby village, and he lived in a crocodile hole. Crocodile had dug on the bank of the river a residence, but they had left, and so he lived there, and he hardly ate anything, only if somebody brought him some prasad. Otherwise, he would hardly eat at all. And, in a crocodile hole, there's no sunshine, and it's damp, and he got very sick and weak and thin, and he just wept. He just cried and cried and cried to lose the favor of his guru, and to offend his guru like that. And he just engaged in intense chanting and fasting and austerities. So Sanatana Goswami, he once went to Nandagatta because Sanatana Goswami, he was the friend of everyone. He was like a father, and he would just go and just talk normal talk to people, like how's the fields, how's the farming, what did you get good crops this year, and did you find a nice husband for your daughter? Just like he would just like speak on their level of what is important in their life. And then someone told him, you're so austere, Sanatana Goswami, but there's a young Swami nearby, and he's even more austere than you. Like, he didn't know, they didn't know where he went. And he goes, really, let me see. So he goes and he finds Jiva Goswami in this crocodile hole, and he's like, what are you doing here? And then he goes back to Sanatan and said, I thought you were a follower of Lord Chaitanya. What did Lord Chaitanya teach you? And what are his main teachings? And he said, I am a follower of Lord Chaitanya, of course. What are you talking about? Well, tell me, what's the main teachings of Lord Chaitanya? So he's mentioned a few, and then he said, and Jivadoya. Jivadoya, yeah, what does that mean? Mercy to the jivas. So what about Jivadoya, mercy to your own jiva? Here you banish him and all, like, is that mercy? And he's like, you're right, I that was a little harsh, like, like the punishment should equal the offense, and perhaps that was a little bit harsh punishment. So yeah, please bring him back here. So Sanatan brought him back to Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami again bestowed his affection upon him in that way. So and you know, like like sometimes Jiva Goswami was criticized, you know, because we Gaudiya Vaishnavas, you know, we worship Krishna in Parakiya Rasa, that the gopis are married to gopas, and although they're not exactly married, but they meet with Krishna. He's their paramour, but and they say Jiva Goswami, he doesn't know the Siddhanta, and he's not on such an elevated platform, because he used to actually preach Swakiya Rasa, which is married love, like Krishna has with the queens of Dwarka. And they say, what does he know? Like, you know, so they would criticize him in that way. But the thing is that at that time, many of his disciples, his students, they couldn't accept that, and he said also, by accepting that, some, like even nowadays, people think, well, Krishna, you know, he has many girlfriends, so I can have many girlfriends. Like, Krishna's God, we should follow in the footsteps of God, right? He's the example. So that's Sahajism, like taking things very cheaply and imitating. So that's why he preached, because Krishna is in effect married, and there was a marriage ceremony, and Krishna is eternally with Sri Radha. So all glories, we can meditate on Sri Jiva Goswami today and pray for his blessings. Thank you all for attending. Jai Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Mainam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakalen Kriya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham
Namaham Vishnu Jaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namine Samaniti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gurbani Pracha Negi Nivasesha Shunyavagade Pashanchade Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nana Sri Advaita Gadana Siva Sadi Gaurmata Vrindana Sri Krishna Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Brahma Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadana Siva Sadi Gaurmata Vrindana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadana Siva Sadi Gaurmata Vrindana Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Jai, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, 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 Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Jaya Radha, Goloka, Goloka, Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupad.
Yadarpanam Nirvapanam Treya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Bhujivaranam Kari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Trapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaivamit Vishami Hajjanina Nuraga Trinada Pisunichena Tarora Pisahishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktira Hoita Ki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vashame Vavam Buddha Kripayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Satrishim Vachintaya Nayanam Galarusra Daradaya Varanam Gadgadavdaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyavabhadam Ratam Nastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Kurotuva Yatatata Vabindatolam Pato Mat Prananatas Saeva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end in recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, continue your moment like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Haribo.
We would like to welcome new members to our community, Shreya and Saurav Prabhus. They just moved here from Pittsburgh, and Saurav is he works in robotics, making prosthetic limbs. So he got transferred here, and then Ram Das Abhiram Das Prabhus from Krishna Life in Atlanta. And they're in our Srimad Bhagavatam reading group. So happy.